Picture a cold winter night on Hobart's waterfront. Hundreds of sleeping bags laid out in a shed, each one symbolising a Tasmanian without a home. This striking image is part of Sleep Rough, a community sleep out event that our guest today helps organise. Em Marriott knows how to rally a community for a cause. She's a partnership specialist at Hobart City Mission and the current chair of Fundraising Institute of Australia in Tasmania, leading efforts to uplift professional fundraisers. Em was even recognised as Tasmania's Young Fundraiser of the Year in 2024, a testament to her passion and impact. In this episode, we'll explore her career path and glean insights into the current state of fundraising and why it's more needed than ever. Get ready for an inspiring conversation with someone who's not only raising funds, but also hope and awareness, one campaign at a time. Em, welcome to the Givefluence Podcast. Pleasure to have you on today. How are you feeling?
Hey, thank you. What an intro. Feeling good now. Thank you.
Good. That's why I want you to feel. You're doing some amazing work, honestly, in the fundraising space. But I guess for the guests who are listening, like the audience, I want to get them aware of who you are, your background. And so if you want to start maybe on your early career path, what drew you into the world of fundraising? Because it's not a very usual career path, I'd say, for a lot of people. It's not like, I'm going to be a fundraiser, So how did your career journey start? And how did it lead it to where you are today?
Yeah. So I started sort of in admin roles when I was pretty young. So around about 17, started as an admin assistant and then moved to a role that also had events and really fell in love with events and sort of stuck around for about 4 years down that path and found myself in the corporate world for a few years and was loving what I was doing, but wasn't really finding that it aligned with my values. I felt that it just wasn't quite the right fit for me. It was a bit rat racy and wasn't quite hitting the mark. And I wasn't coming home every night and feeling like I was doing good in the world. And I'd always volunteered. So I started my volunteering journey with the Make-A-Wish Foundation when I was 18 and doing fundraising for them and helping them organise their ball. And I guess coming from a philanthropic family, it felt that was where I felt like I belonged. And I was just honestly really lucky. A position came up at Hobart City Mission 6 years ago, and I didn't have any formal fundraising experience, which so many fundraisers never do when they get into it.
Yeah, learning on the job as well.
That's exactly right. And just having those, either marketing or events or just admin experience, sales, that helps as well. So look, I just sort of fell into it and it was an events role to begin with. And the idea was to implement a strategy that had been done with an agency, and coming into the job with no formal fundraising experience was a little bit daunting. But the first thing I was tasked with was Sleep Rough. So that was, yes, very exciting, but it was also 2020, so it was COVID, yeah?
Of course, yeah. I remember being stuck in Melbourne during the COVID lockdowns for, quite some time. And given that 5-kilometre radius, so it sounds so ridiculous now, looking back, but pretty gnarly time. Maybe we can jump straight into then the Sleep Rough campaign, which you've been a massive advocate in and fundraiser for, and I guess rallying the troops and organising this massive event. Just give us a bit of background on maybe what it is and how it got started, how it came to be, what it represents, these sorts of things.
Yeah, absolutely. So Sleep Rough came about because Hobart City Mission had a really aging donor base and wanted to engage with a younger audience and a new audience. And we wanted to run a peer-to-peer fundraiser, but we wanted something that was authentic and true to our cause. So we ended up with the sleep out. We considered, a walk or a run, which, they work, but the market's busy. So we ended up with the sleep out and that worked. It's worked incredibly well, although it was COVID when we were due to do the first one and we had to pivot and make a lot of changes and change venues and, put in a lot of safeguards. It ended up coming together, and the first one, we were just so well looked after by the community. For a first time event, I think we budgeted to raise, about $30,000 or something. We just had no idea how it was going to go, really. And we had local businesses take a chance on us. We had a local hardware store, Planet Smarter 10, they jumped on and major sponsor, for the first year, which
Yeah.
is incredible. That was amazing. We had the venue jump on board. We had so many local organizations chip in so that the event could run at a really low cost.
Yeah.
And
Important.
we actually raised about $140,000 in that first year.
All
And
right.
what we realized, we didn't meet our targets in terms of the amount of people attending that we thought we would. But what that told us is that it was quality over quantity for us.
Yeah.
It was so the opposite of what we thought. We thought we'd get all these people and we'd raise this little amount, and we had this small amount of people and they raised so much. And I think that was because we really took the time on the journey. Once people signed up, we really made sure they understood their impact as they fundraised and they reached their goals, and they had fundraising goals to achieve, and we had incentives, and we really made sure we told them stories about people that they were helping and really made sure that they felt the love. And I think that's why it turned out to be so successful. And so we've been able to tweak that. And it's now, this year was the 4th year. We're very lucky to have been able to run it for the last 4 years. And each year look at that data and see what the learnings are and then tweak accordingly. It's been such a great journey. And, just the way that the community gets behind it, and it's kids of all ages, it's families, it's school groups, it's corporates, it's everybody. And everybody, it's such an electric feeling on the night when you're sitting in that room, and we show a movie at the end to sort of get the kids to, chill out because they've been racing around, and you're sitting there and everyone's there for the same reason, because they care for people who are doing it tough and sleeping rough in Tassie. And it's just this beautiful connection feeling. And I can't describe it. The first year I just sort of sat there and cried because it was honestly, it's a beautiful event. It's turned out great. Yeah.
So when's the next one coming up?
So the next one will be held at PW1 down on the waterfront in Hobart, and that'll be 15th of May 2026. So yes,
right
the
in the heart
planning
of
has
winter,
already
isn't it?
started.
Yeah, that's good. That's good.
Yeah.
And
It's
is
great.
homelessness in Hobart still a big issue, or are you guys getting on top of it now? How would you describe the issue at the moment? Is it getting worse, better?
So I think I've been with the Hobart City Mission almost 6 years, and when I started, the number of families on the housing register was maybe just over 4,000. Well, that's applicants, so the number of people actually blows out a lot more than that. It's currently sitting, the last data that came out was 5,000, almost 5,200 applicants. So that number has grown. It's the highest it's ever been. And the wait time for a home at the moment here in Tassie is about 82 weeks. And that changes slightly, but it's a really long time. And our issue is that we've got such a chronic lack of affordable housing. The demand on our services is the highest it's ever been. And just like everybody, the cost to run the services and operate the services have also increased. And then, coupled with the fact that in Australia, the last data with fundraising shows that there were less donors, so less people giving, but those who are giving slightly more.
Yeah, that's important. Well, I mean, you could almost attribute that to the wealth disparity increasing, but that is disturbing in a sense. Usually, the first thing to go for a lot of people that are experiencing the cost of living crisis that we're in, unfortunately, it's donations. You're part of Fundraising Institute of Australia. Do you guys see those statistics up at that top level as well? And maybe it's a good sort of segue to get into, your role there and how you got into that.
Of course. I've been on the Fundraising Institute of Australia's Tasmania committee for a couple of years now, 2.5, 3 years. I got into that because I was new to the fundraising industry and sort of trying to sponge as much information as possible and meet as many people. And the one thing I can say to anybody who is getting into fundraising is the thing that has taught me the most and has helped me grow the most in my career is those opportunities where you meet and network with people in your industry are so invaluable, because I can't tell you the amount of times where I would be having a conversation with somebody in the beginning of my career, and all of a sudden something would just click that I didn't fully understand before, thinking, well, what's a bequest? Something like that, where you might be a bit too scared to ask in the very beginning, and you'll be having a conversation with somebody and all of a sudden it will just make sense. And the ideas and the incredible inspiration that comes from conversations just off the cuff and meeting people. So we do a perfect example of this is down here. We've introduced this year, we do monthly breakfasts. And so it's really casual and it's open to FIA members and non-members. And we just have coffee and pastry at a local bakery, somewhere where it's easy for everyone to get to, good parking. And it's 8:30 till 9:30 on the last Thursday of the month. Now, sometimes we have 12 people come, sometimes we have 4. But the conversations that come out of that and the enthusiasm, I think that it's brought out in people. And we've seen that we're just doing committee recruitment at the moment. And we've got so many people so keen to join because they're so enthused and they're going, you guys have fun and you're really bringing life to this.
Yeah.
That for me is what it's all about. And that's been such a special part of this journey, has been seeing a whole new wave of people wanting to get on board and be part of it. Has been great. Sorry, I probably rambled then.
No, that's exactly it's perfect. I think what you described is it's needed more now than ever. I think to get fundraisers really enthusiastic about helping raise funds for important causes, especially if the cost of living is affecting people's ability to donate and support the causes. Like we've got to come up with more creative ways. Working in the space, it can be really disheartening, or it can really just
Absolutely.
get weigh on you a bit. So I think starting small at the community level, building it, what you're doing there is really great. Maybe just moving on to the impact of funds, like making a difference. When people support events like Sleep Rough, where do the funds normally go? Like what difference are they actually making to the community? For instance, and you've noted donations from Sleep Rough programs put a roof over about 80 adults and 30 children each night. Is that still correct? And also provide packed food as well. How do you communicate these impacts to donors, and how does knowing the outcomes drive you in your work?
Sure. So with Sleep Rough, those funds help to run all of the programs that are community funded that Hobart City Mission operates. That is, there's 5 medium and long-term housing programs and also emergency relief. And so for a bit of context, $50 is what it costs to put somebody through the Mountain View program who's been experiencing long-term homelessness. And that means providing a bed sit, fully furnished bed sit, 3 meals a day, and on-site support. $50 is pretty amazing. So if somebody
Go a long
signs
way.
up and they raise, hey,
It goes a long way. Like
it
$50 can
does,
make a
yeah,
big difference.
and so super, super important. And what is more important is to be able to show that to the donors, to show them that along the way, okay, well, this $50 that you've raised, this is actually where this is going, and this is a story from someone who's accessed this program that you're making possible, and reporting back and making them feel the love. And I think I do have a story of a young girl who, and Jazz is happy. She has said that she's happy for me to share her story.
Oh, that's great. Yeah, I was going to ask.
So yes, we do, of course, always, and continue to ask. So one thing that's really important for us is that somebody might say yes, and then a year or so later their circumstance might change. So if we're going to share that story again, we do ask
You can
again.
change the names. Yeah.
Yeah, we do. Some people are happy for their name to be shared, and some people would like their name to be changed.
Yeah.
Jazz is
Yeah.
happy for her name to be shared. A few years ago, when Sleep Rough was just starting, we try to have a person as a case study that's been through the programs that Sleep Rough supports to sort of be the champion for the campaign. We asked Jazz because she had been staying at our Mountain View program. And she shared her story with us, and I will just give you a little bit of her story. So Jazz was kicked out of her home when she was only 10 years old, and she actually lived on the streets for about 20 years of her life down here in Tassie. And when she was telling us, she said she had the support of housing workers, but there was no there was often no places for her to go. So she was, with her housing worker, and her housing worker was having to drop her off at the park, the local park in Hobart, with a tent. And they would just be so upset because there's this young girl and there wasn't anywhere for her to go, and she had to sleep in the tent. And that, is absolutely heart-wrenching. And Jazz said that she ended up having to drink to fall asleep so that she felt she could get to sleep, because otherwise that feeling of no safety, just that feeling of having, I suppose that is the crux of it, the no safety, having to sit and sleep on this bench out in the elements with all of her belongings.
Hobart is freezing as well in
Freezing.
winter.
Freezing
Yeah.
cold. Yeah. And especially when the snow on the mountain and it's coming down the mountain, it's just inconceivable, really.
Mm.
And Jazz actually fell pregnant when she was 14, and because she didn't have anywhere safe and stable to live, her child was taken into state care. And until Jazz was 30, that was her life. She just said that she had no safety and nobody in her corner. And when COVID came around, Hobart City Mission and the Salvation Army got together and they put together the Safe Space homeless shelter. And so that had been operating for about a year and a half. And one of her friends told her, why don't you go and check out Safe Space? Go and drop in and have a chat. And she did. And she actually ended up staying there every night for 6 months. And while she was there, she'd never thought that she might have had anything with alcoholism, but she realized that she did when she was staying at Safe Space. And we were able to help her through rehab, which was amazing. And then it was on Christmas Eve of 2022, Jazz was actually given the keys to her own bedsit at Mountain View. So it was the first time that she'd ever had a safe place to herself, 4 walls to herself of her own. And she just, she did so well in that community. She really built rapport with the staff and was sort of able to, fall into that community and do really well. And it was about 6 months later, we were able to help her into her own housing. So she actually got access to her very own unit. And then from there, Jazz was able to reconnect with her daughter. And then most beautifully, Jazz came to Sleep Rough the next year with her daughter, and they stayed and they did the event. And that to me was like mind blowing. Yeah, full circle. That just absolutely, that brought it home, the impact that these sorts of events can have and how empowering it is for somebody to be able to share their story. I think as long as, there's so many guidelines and sensitive storytelling, it's so important that we, that we follow those guidelines and we're empowering people. But that opportunity for people to be able to share and what that can do is mind-blowing. Jazz was so happy to be in that room when they were sharing their story, and it was just it was incredible. So that to me is that's it. That's what it's all about.
It right there, 100%. And for anyone listening, we'll be setting up, a campaign if you want to support Hobart City Mission through the Givefluence app. You can do that as well. By the time this is out, I'll make sure you guys are up there as well. So any influencer as well. Do you guys work with influencers at Hobart City Mission? Like, do they come along to sleep out, they promote, or have you had any experience with influencers or creators like that?
We haven't, and we've been on the search for a long time, and we are very much looking for an ambassador or somebody to come on board.
So please, important.
Yes, it is. So if there's anyone, listening that is interested, please do reach out, because it really needs that. It needs somebody that has that following to be able to push and show. We did have a couple of years ago, we had a guy he did Alone, the TV show where you
Alone,
yeah. So he did it, and he's got a really great following, and that was awesome. So he did a great job at really pushing it for us. But we're looking for somebody to do that for the next event.
I spoke with the CEO of the Polish Man campaign. Like they're the ones that do the Polish Nail for domestic violence, and like the men do that. I think they had Chris Hemsworth or the Hemsworth brothers 1 year painting their nails as well. And they've seen like like working with ambassadors and creators in that way, it just really help the cause and bring
Yeah,
awareness. So if it's
absolutely.
something like that, I mean, you've got the Sleep Rough campaign, like getting one to come along. I guess that's sort of why the CEO Sleep Out must do that, because they bring the CEO, usually has like, they're influential in their community. But yeah, bringing some local Hobart creators or YouTube, I don't know, along to the event to film it as well could be a nice
Definitely.
way to get the message out even beyond, the traditional media, which you do get coverage, right, from local TV networks or
We do. Yeah, very well
yeah.
supported in that way, which is great. But yeah, please, if anybody's listening and they would like to come along and do it, please do, because yeah, we can certainly use the just the awareness in the community. So important. So any way we can share
Yeah.
that message is great.
Yeah. What about corporate partnerships? Have you guys had a bit of success there? I know you guys do it a bit different from, or you're moving away from like the traditional gold, silver, bronze sponsorship packages. I know you've
Done
even said,
research.
yeah, I tried.
Yeah.
I know you've even said as well that you've learned not to sell your charity's brand short and, secure partnerships on your terms as well. What does a
Mm.
successful partnership look to you, Em? And can you share maybe a win or lesson from working with corporate partners?
Yeah, for sure. So, corporate partnerships wasn't a program until a couple of years ago at Hobart City Mission. And so, we were very lucky that I was able to step into the role. And we worked with a company called Be Partner Ready, and they actually helped us to I suppose, go through and understand about our brand and really what a corporate partnership is. I think there can be a sense that a partnership is maybe you find a business and they give you 20K and, it's a bit transactional, but it's not. It's about relationships
Mm,
and it's about
yeah,
providing value in return. And that's been the biggest learning for us, and also the time that it takes. It's not a 2 month kind of endeavor. It can take 18 months, 2 years to see a partnership come to life. Sowing those seeds and building that relationship does really take time. We've had success in terms of we bought our first corporate partner on is Tas Networks, and they're fantastic, and they were able to fund. We needed to do a security upgrade for our organization. So we were using keys across all of our sites. And obviously, a lot of the people accessing our services are escaping domestic and family violence and are in quite a vulnerable space, and we really need to make sure that we provide a safe community for them. And so we wanted to upgrade all of our doors to swipe cards so that we can immediately just cancel a card whenever. So that was going to cost around about $150,000. So we needed a partner to come on board and fund that. And we're very, very thankful that Tas Networks did.
yeah,
But,
perfect.
in the early stages of that, it was about understanding. I had to do a lot of research about Tas Networks and really understand how their business worked, and then try and find areas that we could provide them value. So
Mm,
looking at the expertise that we could give to them. So, in terms of maybe de escalation training, trauma informed practice, also looking at staff time, volunteering opportunities, ways to increase staff retention and loyalty, looking at marketing benefits, ways that we can share with the world about the good stuff they're doing. It was a whole looking at it from a holistic approach, I suppose, and not just it wasn't transactional, is what I'm trying to say. So, it
exactly.
was
So
really
important.
really
Yeah.
about negotiating with them on what we could do for them, and it's been great. We're a year in now, and it has been, another part of that is actually we've just purchased 2 new trucks for our op shops to be able to collect and disperse donations, and we need to have sign writing on the trucks, but that costs a lot of money that often charities don't have, just disposable. So the first people we asked and gave the opportunity to that, they're the first people, if they would like to have their branding co-branded on our trucks, would they be interested in
Perfect.
covering the cost of
Yeah.
that? And they
That's a
were.
really
So
good,
that's
yeah, it's
yeah,
really good. Like, cause those are like moving billboards. I think it's a really nice way to
yeah,
get the message out and
it
partnering
is.
with a charity is always a good idea. I
Yeah.
think if it aligns, of course, with what the company does, what it stands for, what its business activities are, I think it's a great idea for any established business that's wanting to give back, I think. And the more you give, the more you receive is something that I've found myself saying a lot on this channel,
So
but it
true.
is so bloody true. So I think there was even like a study that came out that said the people that donate to charity often are the most rich, become, even if they do it throughout their career, they usually become easily like the most wealthy people, sort of thing. I'll have to find it and probably share that as
Yeah.
well through my network. But it was pretty cool to see, very interesting. But I want to move just quickly maybe to maybe some, fundraising can be difficult, right? There's lots of challenges and things. Maybe a challenge you've encountered either through your career, perhaps a campaign that didn't go as expected, or any hurdles like having to fundraise during COVID, like you mentioned earlier. How did you navigate it? And what advice would you give to others, like other fundraisers facing similar challenges?
Hmm. Well, I suppose for me, everything comes down to your passion. So when you're passionate and you really believe in what you're doing, it sort of doesn't really matter the number of hurdles that come your way. You're gonna do what you can to navigate them. Yeah. So if you're in a cause that you love, nothing's gonna get in your way. So that was, exactly like Sleep Rough, like you said. I think I started in 2020, and within the first 12 months, we were due to have our first Sleep Rough. Well, that just wasn't going to be possible. And so, I think we had 3 different venues, and then the event didn't actually happen until May 2022. And in that
Mm,
time, I can't tell you how many times we got so close and then something had happened and it pushed us further and further out. And it was disheartening, but because I knew how much of a difference this was going to make and how was such a positive impact it was going to have in the community. You push through. You just, you do what you have to do, I suppose. Yeah. It just comes down to that passion. And I think everybody in the
yeah.
fundraising industry, because it can be really hard. It's people are in a really tough spot at the moment. It's hard to fundraise. We've got to be creative. And, it can be really tricky. It's a lot of trial and error, a lot of testing, but it just comes back to that: when you believe in what you're doing and you really do care, you don't care how many hurdles are in front of you. Yeah.
Yeah, absolutely. Maybe we can also just shift lastly to some advice maybe for aspiring fundraisers, people that are coming through, because
Mm,
like you said, it's a tough time to fundraise at the moment, as a young person as well. Maybe any advice to young professionals or volunteers who want to build a career in fundraising, any skills that they need to focus on, mindset tips to focus on or
yeah.
to remember. What do you wish you knew when you started? That'd be good advice, I reckon.
Yeah, for sure. So I would just say turning up as your authentic self has been huge. Before I was in this industry, in the corporate industry, I never really felt like I could be myself. It was dry corporate. And I found, especially since joining FIA and being able to really build a network and build those connections, more of myself has come out. And then people gravitate towards you, and then together you achieve more. So I think
Yeah,
that's probably my biggest thing, is just be yourself and bring yourself to it, because that brings out the creativity. That's what inspires
yeah,
people. People can feel when you're
yeah,
authentic, and then people want to be a
yeah,
part of it. The professional development side of things, you're always learning. Things are always changing. That has been so important for me. It's just constantly learning and doing all the webinars that come through. There are so many amazing platforms that provide free learning. So that's great. And also the other thing is that I wish in the beginning I had have realized is that we're not in competition. We're all here. It is this beautiful opportunity where you're right next door to all these other organizations that do similar things, but you're not in competition. You're doing the same things with the same idea and purpose of supporting people, which is so special. So, really, we're all here for the same reason. And that, I think, is pretty incredible, because it's not common. And you'll see that when you go to an event, and the knowledge sharing across 2 organizations that are there doing the same sort of work, and they're so willing to help each other out and answer questions and lift each other up. And I think that's what is so special about our industry. We're so lucky. Yeah, I could never go back, that's for sure.
Some solid advice. Thanks for sharing that, Em. And finally, last question. What changes or innovations are you anticipating in the fundraising sector in the next few years? Like what's keeping you motivated for the future? It could range from technology, social media, just in donor behavior, maybe policy changes. What's exciting you about where the sector's heading at the moment?
What's exciting is the technology. AI is just revolutionizing the way that we're able
Yeah.
to fundraise and what we're able to achieve. And that is so exciting because,
On a small
as
budget
everybody knows,
and a
when you're
limited
a
team.
fundraiser, often, sorry,
With a small budget and a limited team, limited resources, you
that's
need to
it.
be doing as much as you can. Yeah.
That's right. You've got so many hats that you're wearing and you're so stretched, and there is all these important, wonderful things that you need to be doing. And then you've got this big list of things that you want to be doing. And I think the beauty is that AI can take off a lot of that pressure. So that's exciting. That is what is most exciting for me at the moment. I think the future is, we're going to be able to get to that incredible stuff. And things like I often hear in our team, we don't have a dedicated resource for gifts in wills, but it's such an important part of fundraising. And so because the person's not dedicated, they get bogged down in all this other stuff, which is also equally important. But if we can take away some of that admin and some of that stuff that AI can help with so that we can get here, that is going to be, incredible. So it's an exciting time, that's for sure. And I think, just like I said before, I'm seeing like a whole new wave of people coming from the corporate world who really want to do good, and they're passionate and they're excited and they're enthusiastic. And that's really, really nice to see. I'm seeing, I don't know, it feels fun. I don't know if that is the right word, but
No,
I
that's
know in
important.
Tassie, on the community, we have a lot of fun. So it's good. Yeah, it's a
Yeah,
fun space.
so important. No, thank you so much for coming on the Givefluence podcast, having a chat, Em. I hope we've maybe inspired a few more fundraisers to get out there, get involved and support the community. It's really inspiring to see your passion, your energy and your strategy, I guess, go hand in hand towards your work, from sleeping rough for a cause and forging partnerships, like you said, strengthen the mission of Hobart City Mission. So one big takeaway for me, for sure, it's that fundraising is not just about, I guess, the money. Like you said, it's about community, dignity, hope as well. And, for anyone listening, Em's experiences here really show that when you connect with, I think, people to a cause, when you're connecting people to a cause through authentic storytelling as well, and experiences, incredible things happen. Families get homes, individuals find support, and entire communities become part of the solution. I think that's really what I see, what's happening in Tassie and what you guys organise and support. I think we need to bring that up to the rest of Australia and like have that community feel again. I think that gets lost in other parts of Australia. You can feel like you live in a big city and you don't have that sense of community, which I think amazingly Hobart Tassie has done a good job of keeping that. That's the vibe that I get. We hope you enjoyed this episode. Yeah.
Yeah.
We hope you enjoyed this episode of the Givefluence podcast and learned something that sparks your own giving experience. If Em's dedication has moved you, consider how you might get involved. I'll be sharing links as well to Hobart City Mission and all those fun places you can go find Em as well. Connect with her, whether it's or support Hobart City Mission, joining a community event, simply reaching out to a cause you care about. Every effort counts. So stay tuned for more conversations like this with change makers like Em. And until next time, remember that your influence can drive positive change. Thanks for listening.